My experience in the public schools, it was great training for me for sure. I got a good understanding of the conditions in the schools, but it also helped prepare me to deal with these government bureaucracies. So I was elected insurance commissioner 3 years ago. Thank you. Who did I beat? Cruz Bustamante. Thank you for helping me retire. Cruz Bustamante, once and for all. I did 3 years ago. Anyhow, I elected 3 years ago. I oversee a huge Department of Insurance. And when I got there was over these 1,300 positions. They're all lifetime civil service, meaning you can't fire them, for anything. And they also belong to public employee unions in addition to their lifetime civil service protection. Wow, it took me about 5 minutes to realize this is not like running a company in Silicon Valley, that's for sure. So I decided I better go meet all these people. This is my team, whether I like it or not. I gotta make this work. So I met them all across 16 offices. And then together, my team and I built a plan, a strategic plan for the Department of Insurance. And we did a top-down review. I went through every dollar of this $200 million budget, every program. And I asked lots of questions. Why are we doing this program here? And all too often the answer was, well, we've been doing it that way for 50 years. Well, does it help anybody? Well, not that we can tell. Let's stop it. We got rid of dozens of programs. Other areas, we ramped it up. Like my fraud unit. I have a couple hundred police officers that work for me in my insurance fraud unit. Now that's an important area that we did add more resources to, because insurance fraud in the middle of a recession, that just drives up insurance rates. So we added resources there, and the result of all this top-down review and overhaul and modernization of my department has been pretty dramatic. In the fraud area, we've arrested close to 2,000 people for insurance fraud just in the last 2 years. That's more people to be arrested for insurance fraud than in any other 2-year period ever in the history of the state.
Wow.
But in terms of my cost structure, I started with these 1,300 positions. I now have 1,100 employees. I've been able to cut my operating expenses permanently by 15%. I now have a big surplus to the Department of Insurance, which I'm passing back into the marketplace through tax cuts on insurance agents and brokers that fund my department. Now, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, I think you're looking at the only person in Sacramento history that's ever downsized anything. Now, here's the broader point. Nothing unusual about the Department of Insurance. There's 400 different departments and agencies in Sacramento. As governor, I'm going to go through every single one of them. And we're going to do to the rest of the state of California what I did to the Department of Insurance. It can be done. There's billions of dollars to be saved. Now, I'm telling you, it's urgent, too. We don't have much more time. Now, you know the economic situation.
Yes.
This is really terrible. In 1999, California was the 6th largest economy in the world. By 2003, our great state had fallen to 7th. Last year, 8th in declining. This state, we are shrinking in the global marketplace at a rapid clip. And no wonder our economy is shrinking, jobs are leaving. Now, anyone here from the state of Nevada? Okay, let's talk about Nevada then for a second. No one here from Nevada. Nevada. They used to be a friendly neighboring state. Well, not so much anymore. Nevada, they know that we have super high taxes and burdensome regulations. The governor of the state of Nevada, not so long ago, appointed a SWAT team with just one mission: recruit people like you all, to move from California to Nevada. And then they take out this ad, a lot of ads in California publications. And the ad has a simple message, and it says, if you do business in California, you're nuts. Come to Nevada where there's no corporate income tax, 0. Where there's no personal income tax, 0. Where the workers' compensation insurance rates are 30% less due to fewer mandates, and the electricity stays on. And lo and behold, people are leaving at a rapid clip. The Census Bureau, they're the scorekeepers here. They count people as they move out of California. I was stunned when I saw this. 3,000 people a week, 3,000 taxpayers pick up and leave the state of California now, each and every week. Now, our population continues to grow because of illegal immigration and birth rates. So it's really the worst of all worlds. We have consumers of government services coming in. We have taxpayers leaving. No wonder why we can't balance the budget in Sacramento. Now, the centerpiece of my campaign in addition to education reform, is fixing our broken economy. And I have a plan. It's bold, it's comprehensive, it'll balance the budget, and at the same time, get our economy back on track. Now, I call my plan the 10-10-10 plan, so that people can remember, a few days later what I was talking about. And so the 10-10-10 plan has 3 basic components to it. The first 10 of my 10-10-10 plan is to cut taxes across the board by 10%. Now, some people, like the LA Times. How many people read the LA Times? Good for you. I'm glad you don't read the LA Times. So I was at the LA Times the other day, and they were asking me, cut taxes? How can we afford to cut taxes? We can't even balance the budget as it is. And I had to tell them, remind them, we can't afford not to cut taxes. Right. We already have the highest sales taxes, income taxes, vehicle license fees, and sales taxes in the country. So these high taxes are driving the tax base out of the state. I'm proposing a 10% cut in personal income taxes, every bracket, 10% cut in corporate taxes, 10% cut in sales taxes, and a 50% cut in capital gains taxes. Now, lower tax rates will make us more competitive again. Lower tax rates, larger tax base, total tax revenues actually go up, not down, if you make our economy more attractive again. That's the first 10. The second 10 is to cut government spending by 10%. And that's just essential too. It's just a fact. When Governor Schwarzenegger started, there were 300,000 state employees. Now there's over 350,000 state employees. So government spending is about double in the last 15 years. It's out of control. We've got to do something about it. So we do need to go through every line of the 1,200-page budget. I've done that. And I've identified $10 billion, about 10% of the budget of cuts. We have to cut to balance the budget. Now, I'm not a fan of just across-the-board cutting. That's not a good idea, because when you cut across the board, you just cause a lot of disruption. Instead, you have to do what I did at the Department of Insurance. You've got to do a top-down review. Look at every program. Some programs you just get rid of completely. Others you modernize. Now, let me give you an example of how to save $3 billion. Welfare. Welfare programs. Now, a lot of people that are in politics won't even talk about welfare because it's not politically correct or whatever. Well, my campaign is going to be different. I'm going to be a truth teller. I'm going to talk about all of these key issues. Now, the welfare program, it's an important safety net. We're all very compassionate. If people get into a jam, there should be a safety net for people. That's fine, but it shouldn't be a way of life. Now get this, 12% of all the people in the United States of America live in the state of California. But we have 30% of all the welfare cases here. 12% of the population, 30% of all the welfare cases. Now that's just not right. Now how'd that happen? Well, our benefit structure, one of the highest in the country in terms of our welfare benefits, and we don't enforce the work rules. 60% of all the people on welfare in California don't work. That's just not right. It's against the law, too. So as governor, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to cut the maximum number of benefits, the number of years that you can be on the program from 5 years to 2 years, like they've done in a bunch of other states. Still a safety net, but no longer a way of life. And we're going to have to enforce the work rules. That saves us $3 billion. It's good for the people on welfare to get off of that system, too, and it'll help us balance the budget. What do you think of that? Okay, the last 10 of my 10-10-10 plan, then I'll be happy to take questions. The last 10 of my 10-10-10 plan is to create a rainy day fund. And the rainy day fund, we need one. You all have savings accounts. Every business in California has savings accounts. If you cut taxes by 10% to bring more jobs back, that will stimulate the economy. We cut spending by 10% to balance the budget. We will get a $10 billion rainy day fund by the end of my first term. And having that rainy day fund in place will be essential to deal with the ups and downs of our economy.